Hello, dear students. Our today's topic is the poem The World is Too Much with Us by William Wordsworth. It is one of the excellent sonnets Wordsworth had ever written. The poet Wordsworth was born at Cockermouth, a town which is actually outside the Lake District in England. After his parents' death, he had a tough childhood. But he outshined as a student, and his work at the university was quite undistinguished, and he graduated from Cambridge. He started writing poems when he was in school. It is apt to say that many hours the boy Wordsworth spent wandering about the hills and the woods prepared him for the two major achievements of his life. First, the production of a few of his early poems on nature. Second, the leadership of the early part of the English Romantic movement. Romantic age in English literature began in 1798 with the publication of lyrical ballads written by William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. His dealings with nature were his chief glory as a poet. To him, simple things in nature were a storehouse of joy and pleasure. Wordsworth described his poetry as taking its origin in emotions recollected in tranquility. His love for nature was so intense and deep that he was also called nature's priest. In the poem, The World is Too Much with Us, the English Romantic poet Wordsworth criticizes the world of the first industrial revolution for being absorbed in materialism and discarding nature. The poet laments the loss of men's intimate connection with nature. It is a Petrarchan sonnet which has 14 lines and is divided into two parts, octave and sestet. First 8 lines are octave and the last 6 lines are called sestet. Octave usually has a complaint, and Wordsworth's complaint is that the English people have become extremely money-minded. It was the repercussion of the Industrial Revolution in Britain, and the people started finding new ways of earning money by setting up industries, mills, factories, and so on, and that brought a big change in their lifestyle too. The environment suffered due to the Industrial Revolution, and people stopped giving importance to Mother Nature because of their fixation in materialism, and the poet shows his anger for the same. Whereas in sestet part, he thinks of a solution, that is, denunciation of materialism. Materialism, which the poet calls a sordid boon, and to which we have given our hearts away. The rhyme scheme of the poem is ABBA, ABBA, CD, CD, CD. The poem is an excellent rendering of the poet's shocking experience with the world left marooned by the loss of moral and aesthetic values due to its discontinuity with nature. He feels sorry for the people who are not able to connect themselves with nature. He is talking about money and worldly possessions which have become prominent and more important to the people than nature. They are caught up by their greed for earning more and more money. People are totally engrossed in earning and then busy in spending it, and thus disconnecting themselves from the divinity of nature. The poet also reveals that the obsession for materialism was a problem in the past and will always be the same in future. In line 4, the poet expresses that people are vainly yielding their hearts to the demon of materialism. They are busy in accumulating wealth and power, which are worthless gifts in comparison to the solace and peace one gets in the company of nature. Wordsworth's appreciation of nature is best shown in 5th, 6th, and 7th lines. The verse, "This sea that bears her bosom to the moon," is an example of personification. The sea is personified as Mother Nature, making the moonlight rest onto it as a mother does to her child, meaning thereby the sea presents a splendid sight when the moonlight falls on it. He also depicts the beautiful sight of the wind that keeps on blowing throughout the day, and through the phrase "like sleeping flowers," the poet uses a simile. When there is calmness in nature, it offers a lot of tranquility to our minds. But the humans are rejecting it because of their fondness for worldly gains, and our eyes are blinded by the glitter of materialism, and we keep rejecting and damaging nature. When the poet says "out of tune," he takes human soul for something like a live wire, which is unfortunately insulated, having a thick cluttering of materialism around it, and hence its sensitivity is gone. He also grieves that the beauteous sights of nature have stopped pleasing the humans. Now begins the sestet part of the poem, which is the turning point, as it not only rejects poet's frustration but also his anger, and he declares that he would rather be a pagan than to be a theist. He says, if beauty and kindness of nature cannot turn our minds from materialism to spirituality, then he would prefer to become a pagan, a person who does not believe in God but believes in nature like the Greeks did in the olden days, as they believed in the powers of nature and worshipped the sea and the other natural objects as gods and goddesses. He knows that pagans fed on superstitions are outdated in a civilized society, but still they have their touch with nature. The English, indifferent to nature, look still worse than pagans. In the preceding lines, that is 11th and 12th, he reveals that if he were a pagan, he would have enjoyed the glimpses of the green meadows and the sea shores in order to enjoy the company of nature without feeling deserted or alone. He wants to connect himself with nature and condemns worldly possessions. In the final 2 lines, he refers to the 2 pagan gods, Proteus and Triton. Proteus is believed to be a sea god in Greek mythology who is capable of changing his shapes at will and is able to make prophecies about future. The poet wants to enjoy the sight of Proteus rising from the sea and changing shapes as per his wish, and also wants to enjoy the sight of Triton, the Greek sea god, whose parents were also the god and goddess of the sea. The poet would love to enjoy Triton blowing his legendary conch decorated with sea beads in order to soothe the howling sea waves. The poet wants to convey the message that we ourselves are responsible for the annihilation of nature at an unprecedented rate, and the result is that the climate is set to become even more destructive. We should understand the usefulness of nature and give importance to our Mother Nature. Otherwise, one day we will have to face its dire consequences. The poem has its great relevance in today's world too. The world, which is totally engrossed in consumerism, globalization, glamour, and digital revolution, ignoring the pristine glory of nature. Here ends the explanation of the poem, followed by its word meanings and a few short questions for self-assessment. Thank you for watching my video. You'll find my next video very soon. Stay safe and fit.